we didn't really talk about the altered landscapes in the assignment intro. And an altered landscape can be done in so many different ways. Let's say you go down to the beach and you build some kind of pattern in the sand that you are altering the landscape. You are not harming it. The wind and animals and the ocean will, bring it back to a normal place. There's all kinds of land art out there. I'll try to put some up for you to look at for some ideas if you want to try that. But you can also digitally alter a landscape. So I brought in this image. Open. Okay. This is of the Modern Art Museum in Fort Worth, Texas. And I just liked these trees against that industrial background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this. It's kind of a boring sidewalk and road, and I'm going to replace it with water. So the first thing I'm going to do, I can't tell if this is straight. I think it is. Let's just see about cropping down so I don't see so much of that. Maybe it doesn't make it as bad. Yeah. So there, we get rid of that kind of crooked line. So we had started to work with our selection tools. So I just want to work within this area. So I'm going to go to the quick selection. The marquee selection would work perfectly for this as well. Let's see how the quick selection does. I'm going to start from inside and just move outside. And it does a really good job. I'm going to zoom in so that I can really see every bit of this. See how I got that wrong. So I want to subtract that a little bit. I'm just going to let it, this edge of my brush, get that down. Okay. And then again, hitting the space bar allows you to break from whatever tool you're in, and you can drag around. I think that's pretty good. Okay. All right, so then hold down the Option key and make the image kind of smaller again. Let's just center it. All right. So I'm going to take the water from this image. And I'm just trying to think of what water do I want. Do I want the water here? Because I may have to flip this image, because really it's darker on this side than this side. Well, it's all kind of the same. All right, so what I'm doing, the reason I marked this off, because I don't want the water to go in any other space, right? And I want to pull from here. Let's just do this once and we'll see what happens, okay? Now what I'm going to use is the clone stamp. The clone stamp has two options, the pattern or the regular clone stamp. And I'm going to use the regular one. And I'm going to make my brush pretty big. And then a little bit bigger. It jumps around a lot. Okay. So how the clone works is whatever, and I'll make another tree. So you have to hold down your Option key, and it turns into a little crosshair. And so you click, and what it's saying, what do you want to copy? And then if I move my cursor over this tree and click my mouse once, I'm telling it I want to copy from here. And so as I start painting, I'm going to make another tree over here. You can see, do you see the white X across where my tool is coming from? I'll move it up here so you can see. And then it's just building a new tree. So everywhere I go, it's going to make a copy. And the difference, we had played with the healing brush a little bit. And so the difference really is that this is cloning everything to the same opacity, its exact same focus, all of that. And then I'll just kind of stop there. All right, so you can actually see here the sky blue is different here than it is over here. So what, to even that out, I'm going to clone, change my clone, hit the Option key, mouse once, and then try to lighten that up a little bit so it's not so obvious. Try to go in there and kind of make that work a little bit. It gets a little fuzzy around here. All right. Anyway, you can kind of, I'm making a mess of it. But that's what the clone does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clone from this picture. Option, click. I'm going to start on this edge. Click once. Then I'm going to go to this image, and this is where it's going to get painted in. And because I have that selected, it's going over what's underneath, but it's not going into the area that I didn't want the water to go into. And so you can kind of see, I'm just putting in, whoops, I got to the end of the image. Okay, so this happens. I'm at the end of the image on here. So when I run out of image, it gives me that harsh line. So let me just finish down below, and then I'll figure out how I can fix that. Okay, so now, whoops, now I need to go over and just try to pick from halfway through, which is like here, and then let's see if we can merge it together, although that looks a little weird because it was not the same size or color, but there we go. And then I got to the edge there. So now I can stay from here and just blend that together. And I can keep kind of blending it. Right? And most people will not notice the change. Some people are very observant and they will see, oh, I can see something's been done, you know, but some people will not notice. It's a little too. I think that's all too dark. And so I think it's all too dark, don't you? And so really, maybe I should try something different. So let's see, maybe I could do the sky. What do you guys think about that? Let's try it. We'll start again, option, click, and then we'll go over. It might be easier. I'm going to start here and start. Right? So now think about what other textures you can add to your landscape and what kind of other situations you can create. Now you can change the opacity of this. I've got it at 100%, but I'm using a soft brush, which is why sometimes it's leaving that, you know, very kind of careful, soft edge. Let's see. So let me, should I just clone this and kind of work? Oops. No, stop. I'm gonna clone this. Anytime I get to the edge, it's giving me that, you know, same kind of texture. Whoops. It's just the blue. The one thing about cloning the sky, whoops, the sky, it can be so tricky, because I really don't, I want it to look the same, and the blues change so subtly. I mean, look at that. That looks, you know, ridiculously bad. But if I put it in over here, no, there we go. Let's try this. Blending that a little bit more. But now the clouds start. That looks like a manipulation there. And so you can kind of blend it, but I'm making a mess out of it. You just, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Step back. Okay, that's one way. The other thing I can do, I'll go way, way back into the quick selection. I can make a selection with the marquee tool, rectangular marquee, and I can just say, okay, I want all of this, and I'm going to edit or hold down Command C for copy, and then Command V for paste, and I can move this by clicking on the move tool, show bounding box, and I can just move this into this space. Why isn't it working with me here? And then I can stretch it a little bit. Let's see. I need to be able to move it down. I don't want to constrain proportions. Let's see. Edit. We're going into the transform. Scale. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. I unlocked the proportions. So it's not. Oh, I thought I did. And then something like that. Now, you can also do things like select a tree and put it into, I'll do on this one. Again, with our selections, I'm going to select this tree, do this very quickly. And the color is going to be all wackadoodle because the light is so different. But let's select this tree. And then I can move it into another photograph. So if I click, once I have it selected, you click on the move tool, and the move tool allows you to move it around your composition. Now, since I have two layers, it's showing what's behind the layer, which is exactly the same image. So that's why, whoops. That's why it's not just an empty space. Whoops. Okay, so now I can also move this whole thing into another image. So I click on the mouse and I'm dragging it, and I'm going to wait for this photograph to open, and then I'm going to bring my cursor into the image, let go, and then there's my new tree. And then I can scale it to fit. You can see my selection was pretty rotten, but right, I might even be able to clone one of these little holes here. Let's apply that transformation. I'm going to clone. I'm going to make my brush smaller. That way I can do smaller work. And then option click. And whoops, I'm not on the right layer. Option click. I can put the little ground thing in. I know my grass is not exactly the same color, but okay, so I would keep going and keep playing. But the thing about Photoshop is that if you can't make it happen in reality, you can make it happen via the computer. And this is just one of the many things you can do. So again, what we did was we made selections, we cloned things over, we pasted them, here we just transformed it. The move tool is also considered a transform tool. Again, there's a lot of help on this online.